Yeah, we're good to go. Hi, host Eric here with host Zachary. We're talking Buddhist detachment and assorted implications to the notion of the self. So, it started with you talking about Buddhism and saying that you had a problem with the central notion in Buddhism of the self being illusory.
Hmm.
That I don't necessarily have a problem with the idea of the self being illusory. I think the self feels more illusory to the ENTP probably. But I do have a problem with the notion that therefore one should be okay with its non-substantiatedness. My position is one should go out and fucking substantiate that shit. Make it
How do you mean?
non-illusory. Well, like what I'm doing right
Oh, okay.
now, making it non-illusory.
Well, I guess it boils down to I think that the core idea is that, or how they derive the self being illusory is that we're aware of phenomena that happens in the external world, and we're aware of our own thought processes, but we don't really have any direct control over them. It's sort of like deterministic in that sense, which I don't. On the free will thing, I think I said my thoughts before that I think that you don't get your thoughts, or you don't choose your thoughts, and you don't choose your environment, but you can choose what you do with the information that's presented to you, right? So, and that was like the thought experiment where it's, you think of three movies, and you have three movies in your head, and you knew you were going to think of three movies, but you didn't choose what movies came to your head. So that implies that you don't have any real control over the movies or the phenomenon that pops up in your head. Now, that's just a theory. I don't really know. That is a thought experiment, but it reveals nothing about the process of, I guess, thinking about certain artifacts within consciousness. But I have a problem with the Buddhist idea of the self being illusory, because if there is no agent within one's, if there is an agent within the body that they are saying that is, let me reword this.
If there ain't
So
nobody driving the bus,
yeah, if there's no one driving the bus, then how can someone transcend the bus, right? Like, how can someone, if the goal of Buddhism is to transcend into nirvana, have transcendent experience, then doesn't it imply there's some sort of agent within the individual that must direct that?
right? Well, I think that's where Buddhism gets into its paradoxical koans, right?
And also with the reincarnation, what if you got this close to nirvana? Like, you got this close to nirvana, and then you die, and you get thrown back into the world, and you start over with a random position. You don't know where you start at. And who's to say you will come back to your own path again? Or if you even if you keep your progress. I don't know. There are a few things that
You like me want existence to be a game, and you'd like to get a score at the end. I want a score. I definitely want a score, and then I want to be able to reflect on how much I've improved so far my last performance. I want that waiting area where you get to review all your past lives, your past attempts. Fucking dogs. These fucking dogs. Um, I really liked a former coworker's metaphysics where she had us being presented with options, and you have to choose which body or which life you get put into in the waiting room area. And so if you're a starving child in Africa, you chose that because you wanted the challenge. You were like, last time I was a rich white guy from Florida. This time I'm going to be a starving African. And you do it because you need the suffering or something to complete you get that badge in the game. Right?
I mean, I understand the theory, but I feel like that could be utilized to justify non-sympathetic attitudes toward people who are suffering.
Well, I mean, I don't think that there's necessarily any benefit to having sympathetic attitudes towards them, unless you're going to take some sort of action besides sympathy. I mean, I have non-sympathetic action to, I mean, non-sympathy for 99.999999999% of all the suffering in the world because I'm unaware of it. And even to the extent that I'm made aware of it, at least momentarily, if I don't attend to it long, then I'm still not going to really feel much of anything towards it. And if I try to avoid sad stories that make me feel sad, you know?
That's how I get my catharsis. I have to obsess.
I mean,
But I don't know. In regards to like reincarnation or anything like that, I think that ultimately I don't really care what the afterlife is like. I just hope I don't come back here. You know what I mean?
you know, come back here. You don't want another try at life.
No, I don't want to even manifest in this place again. That's the only
What?
thing I hope.
Really?
Mhm.
And then it would just be like, oh, you mean it's just the same thing again? Is it like that?
Yeah. I don't want to like, um, I don't know the idea of like I really don't even care if there's some sort of divine heaven as long as I'm no longer aware of this world. You know.
Wow. I mean, I'm really opposed to dying.
Well, I don't necessarily advocate for. I don't want to die necessarily, but you know, hopefully, if there is some spiritual path that's implicit in this sort of progression through life, then I hope I'm able to go sufficiently enough on the path to where I no longer have to come back here. Or if there isn't a spiritual path, then I hope that it won't matter. I no longer will be aware of anything. I'll just be non-existent.
Well,
Both
remember,
are very plausible and ideal scenarios for me.
there's also the very important goal of getting your actualization black belt, which I'm working on my actualization black belt right now, and I'm not sure who gives those out. If nobody gives those out, I want to start a licensing company that will hand out licenses to claim that you're fully actualized.
Yeah,
Are you
that's why
fully actualized? Then you
there
need
has to
a
be some sort of
license.
external, like there has to be some sort of external standard by which you can judge your spiritual path through, and we can do that. We can start that up.
Yeah, and we can charge $8 a license.
Yeah, from my understanding, there's a high demand for it. You know?
Well, why wouldn't there be? If somebody comes to you and asks your advice, and they're like, "Wait, should I really be asking you your advice?" And you'd be like, "Yes, you should." Look, I'm fully actualized. I've been licensed by Quadrival.com.
I've actualized my identity.
Yes, I'm type actualized for 8 of the 16 types. When you
I
read,
engage in every. Well, I mean, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but I was talking to my friend last night about the ENFP, and he was wondering what it's like to what is TI, and I'm just like, okay, you know how you're NE Dom, so you get excited when you run into linkage, right? When there's a lot of ideas and you realize how they all connect, that excites you, that energizes you. I'm the same way. I get energized, but what I get energized by is logical structure. And then it made me start thinking about all the other types and what they get energized by. And it's crazy thinking that, like for my brother, the ESTP, like he literally gets energized by just being in his environment. But there's a downside to that because that means his enjoyment or fulfillment is proportionate to how active his environment is.
it
You
also
know?
means he operates on a very short time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, I don't. Any FI to me sounds like a challenge beyond all reckoning. Um, I don't. I can't imagine what it feels like to be an
Yeah,
ENFP.
I have yeah I was asking him like what it's like for FI, or he has a pretty much understanding of me ranting about it, and now he understands kind of what it means, like the system or the structure, the cognitive faculties, and he described it as when he is exposed to new ideas or new experiences that he can feel their essence. And I was just like, what? You can feel their essence? Like, what does that mean? What does that feel like? He's like, I don't know. I just feel their essence.
It
I,
feels
I
like
can.
it feels like highly convinced wrongness.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. They think they can feel their essence. They ain't feeling shit. They're feeling their emotions.
Well, I think they have strong emotions toward experiences, right?
I know, but this is why you get that ENFP, like the one who made the things with the laser cutter, the anti-capitalist symbols, and how the Bernie Sanders party were supposed to throw the anti-capitalist symbols into the fire. That he made with a fucking laser cutter, right? Thereby proudly sidestepping capitalism and sidestepping the obvious absurd contradiction in that, right? Because where the fuck did he get the laser cutter from?
Well, I mean, I I, I see your reasoning now. I don't think that he meant like he feels a certain way towards something. Like he feels a certain opinion towards something, and therefore he's going to advocate for it. I think that's more like when I don't know. I don't fucking use FI. Never mind.
You should watch that one video that I do from the Bernie thing where I'm interviewing the NFP. And
I need to watch it now.
to me, it seems so tragic because I'm totally non-combative in that video, by the way. I am not trying to bust his chops or anything. I'm just sort of asking really mild questions. But he ends up being led to the end, and he's like, I used to think that my emotional reactions to things were based on the fact that it was the logical thing to feel. But nowadays, I just think maybe it's the other way around. He said something very, very much like that. Okay, those weren't his exact words, but that was his exact sentiment. And it seemed so goddamn tragic to me. Like, oh my god, you've got all this NE directed at nothing. You've got no tool to use. Your own feelings? I feel bad about this. Let's think of possible ways in which I can attack it. Or I feel good about this. Let's think of possible ways I can advocate for this. But how can you advocate or attack anything without thinking? Their positions are not defensible because they're driven by the fact that they're really sure that if everyone were really nice, then we would all agree that we shouldn't have capitalism.
You think their feelings? So they think their feelings are logical?
They think their feelings are perfectly logical, and their NE allows them to come up with various justifications pretty well. But when required to, face scrutiny, like for example, when this guy was, I asked like one sort of challenging question was like, but if that's the case, then wouldn't blah 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 blah. And he said, well, how long do you want this conversation to be? I mean, there's a lot of different things to consider. And basically he explained to me that he was going to play concentric circles, right? That thing where if because the NE can do this indefinitely, he can come up with endless different exceptions and complications and stuff to somehow justify what doesn't make any logical sense, and to muddle the fact that it doesn't make any logical sense. He's really good at that, right? That's tragic to me. It's a tragic way to be. But of course, that's from an ENTP's perspective. ENFPs probably see me as tragic because I've had at least one of them tell me, "You guys have no idea how socially awkward you are, do you?"
My ENFP friend says that he views our relationship as I provide him information and he refines it into the emotional sphere. That's how he envisions it. And I really don't know what that means. but I'm sure he does.
Yeah, it
Or at
doesn't
least he
mean
thinks.
anything. It doesn't mean anything. That's the problem with it. Is that we all are stuck in talking with language, and we're using TI to communicate with one another. But feelers say they use words to mean what they think they want to express, but it's not necessarily what the words mean at all. You know, because the things they're talking about can't really be reduced to language like that. Yeah. Anyway, identity, nothingness. I used to do Zen meditation when I was in college, and I did find it broadening for sure. But I also found it infuriating because you're sitting still in silence and not moving or doing anything for 40 minutes or something. It's kind of torturous. But it's kind
I mean, I imagine you worked up to 40 minutes, right? You didn't start out with 40 minutes, did you?
they had a morning session that was 40 minutes long. It was the only one I knew that existed. And it was in the Zen temple, so that's what I did. I went, and the first time it was I could barely even stay in there for 40 minutes. And sometimes I did the big no-no and left partway through. But a lot of times, most time I'd make it through the whole 40 minutes.
I have been pretty lazy with my practices of that lately, but I used to I would do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, and I would do like 5 minutes if I was going to do something. Like if I'm going to start reading, I did 5 minutes. But it's very difficult to keep that routine, especially when your sleep cycle gets fucked up. It makes it very difficult.
Well, I haven't done it in like 20 years, so.
Really? Yeah, when you said you did it, I was like, damn, like an ENTP doing meditation? What the fuck?
Again, it coordinated with a getting sober period in my life.
Oh, I see.
I was sober for about a year during college.
I think that I find that if I don't do it regularly, I get very irritable and impatient at people.
I'm the same way with smoking marijuana.
If you don't smoke pot, you become very irritable.
Yes, it's short with people. So, guys, that's the message here tonight from Talking with Famous People. There are 2 ways to enlightenment. 1, meditation. 2, smoke a lot of weed. The second one's easier but more expensive.